Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we have the final card revealed for the Valiant archetype from Tactical Masters. This is pretty cool. Konami's been doing this with deck build packs for a while now, a couple years, where they'll reveal an entire archetype except for the very last card that they want to reveal. And so then they're kind of like, ooh, you know everything except for one card. Is this one card going to change everything? So that's what we're looking at here, the final Tactical Masters, or Valiant card from Tactical Masters. Very cool pendulum-based archetype with some really good extension ability and also some searchability. But let's see if this card actually changes everything for the deck. So here we have the new card, Valiant's VAR, the Land of Beginning. This is a normal spell. And you can only use the first and second effects of this card once per turn. The first effect reads, add one Valiant's field spell from your deck to your hand. Then you can destroy one Pendulum monster card you control. And if you do, add one Senate Switch from your deck to your hand. So Senate Switch is actually this old kind of generic card that we were never really sure if it was ever going to come up, but it pretty much just lets you once per turn like move a monster in your monster zone to another column. That does have some pretty good synergy in the deck, in the sense that like their main search card says like if its column is changed, it gets you a search, right? And a bunch of the other ones have, some of them have like removal effects when their column is changed and whatnot. So it's not a bad card. It does trigger a good amount of the Valiant cards effects just being able to swap their columns, but that's really the main synergy here. It's not really adding anything else to us overall. Yeah, and the second effect says, during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to grave, you can banish this card from the graveyard to place a Valiant's Pendulum monster from your extra deck into your Pendulum zone. Not too shabby. I mean, the second effect's not bad at all, right? Just gets you the ability to reestablish a Pendulum scale later on, and also keep in mind all of them can just summon themselves to the same column from their Pendulum column, so they just jump onto the board. So that's extension. That's potentially a setup for another Pendulum summon on a later turn. Pretty good, right? And as for the first effect, right, it's a search card is only as good as what you're searching. As far as Senate Switch goes, it's a fine card that helps support the deck, but that's really got to be really mainly an only like pure variant helpful card. If you're not playing pure Valiant, I'm not sure Senate Switch is really doing enough for you. Plus, even to get Senate Switch, you have to destroy your own Pendulum monster anyway, which we don't love, especially since the second effect can't be used the turn it's sent. So, like, theoretically, you could have been like, pop a Valiant monster that you summoned. Then, if this card could have activated second effect the same turn it was sent, get that Valiant monster back into your Pendulum zone, and then like you gave up nothing, but you also got a Senate Switch. But unfortunately misses out. And we're searching a Valiant field spell. So that's what we need to look at here, I think, as far as the most important aspect of this card. If you don't know how the field spells work, unfortunately, they're not searching field spells like every field spell seems to be in modern times. But yeah, this one, the first one says when it's activated, you place another Valiant field spell into your opponent's field zone. And then if there are two cards in the field zones currently, the turn player can target a monster in their spell and trap zone. So like a Pendulum, and that player can special summon it to your main monster zone in its column. It just helps you extend, even though most of the Valiant monsters do that anyway. So that's not like that impressive, to be honest. The other one does kind of the same thing. On activation, you can place a different Valiant field spell into your opponent's field zone, and in this one says if there are two field spells on the field at the same time, you can target, the turn player at least, can target an effect monster in their opponent's main monster zone that's in the same column as their monster, or at least a monster they control. Your opponent then has to place their opponent's, or you get to put your opponent's monster back into the spell and trap zone, even if it's not a Pendulum monster, as a continuous spell, and if there's already a card in that zone, you just destroy it. So this one's like a little bit more useful. It's kind of removal as long as you can put any monster on your field in the same column as one of theirs. This just becomes like a pretty decent removal spell. But at the end of the day, like, there has to be two field spells on the field, so if they could clear your other field spell, like, you missing out there. And all it really gives you is like one mediocre removal effect, and that's pretty much it. And also it says turn player, so once your opponent starts like trying to play, they technically get some removal for your field as well, which also really stinks. So we don't really want to have to mess around with that as much as possible. So unfortunately, where if on first reading of this, the new card, it actually does read pretty good, right? It's a 1-for-1 search that if you're okay with popping a pendulum monster, which in a lot of cases, like you're just gonna be able to pendulum summon it back out anyway, to get another free card, almost like just straight up like a plus in a lot of situations, and then you get like another card back for follow-up on the next turn. I just think, like, unfortunately, the search targets just aren't really getting you anywhere. Maybe there's a pure Valiant list where maybe playing 1 copy of each field spell and 1 copy of Senate Switch is possible, but they're all just bricks, like straight up. All 3 of them are just straight up bricks. And because of that, I'm not sure we really want to mess around with that too much, but I don't know. I do think there's definitely an open door here. It is just generically searching any Valiant field spell. So if they do decide to make more Valiant field spells going forward, that's a way to like support the archetype, but also support in a way that makes other cards better that already exist. So maybe that's what we need to keep an eye out for, is maybe a future field spell that actually does something strong. In which case, maybe it's not a brick. So then maybe all you need to play is 1 Senate Switch, and maybe that's worth it. Who knows? Maybe there's a new field spell that gets you to a monster. That way you could like use this card, search the field spell. Maybe we get a field spell searcher later on. It searches the searcher girl. You can scale her, use her effect to summon, then use the Senate Switch to move her to another zone, and she would search another card there. So maybe that's the way it goes. Like maybe we'll get to that point at some point down the line, but I think for right now this just kind of misses the mark. It kind of has too much synergy with the only forgettable part about the archetype so far being the field spells. The monsters are great, field spells kind of forgettable. So we'll see how this goes going forward, if they want to give us other new cards, because we're going to get new support, maybe in Power of the Elements, maybe in the next set after that, probably Power of the Elements, I would think. And so we're right around the corner from another 1 or 2 cards for this archetype anyway. So we'll just have to keep an eye out. But there you go. Final card for Valiance. I'm giving it like a 4 out of 10 for right now. I mean, the potential is there just because it's a decent searcher. We just don't have the good search targets just yet. So we'll see. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel for more new card reviews and updates and all that stuff as they come. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.